Welcome to my review of, might have a small problem here. Could you maybe just come back in an hour? That'd be fantastic. Thank you. That's better. So here we are at Wildstar, and by the way, I really love the theme tune. I confess I've still got a subscription running, so I get some added bonuses, which I'll explain later. So, when creating a character, there are two factions to choose from, Dominion or Exile, each of which have 4 different races. The races are unique to the factions, but you can still choose any of the 6 classes: Warrior, Esper, Mechanic, Medic, Spellslinger and Stalker. The classes available are limited to some degree by your choice of race, so all classes are not available for all races, which is just something to bear in mind when you're making your choice. So, paid accounts get 12 character slots, free to play 2, but extra slots can be unlocked using the in-game currency Omnibit. Omnibits will drop for free while you play the game, from completed quests and occasionally for defeating enemies. This is the case for free to play players as well, although those with paid subscriptions will get a higher drop rate. So, with the boring stuff out of the way, let's get to the combat, which I love. Wildstar's combat is a little more active than your average massive multiplayer online RPG. Boiled down to its simplest element, it's don't stand on the red stuff or you get your ass handed to you. But particularly later in the game, and in dungeons and raids, that simple tactic is quite often easier said than done, as areas of effect of the enemy's attacks get more and more complex and you're given less time to react. Wildstar is also a game that likes to keep you on your toes. Mixed in with the regular mobs are primes, which are much more powerful than your average mob, and generally will require more than one player to take down. It can be hard to tell these primes apart, and running into one thinking it's a regular mob will likely end badly. Enemies are also placed quite close together, considering the active style of the combat. You always need to be aware of your surroundings in this game, or you'll find yourself jumping back straight into the aggro range of a second enemy. Of course, you'd have to be a pretty bad player to do that. Okay, who slipped this footage in? I'm going to kill them! Obviously, I pulled the 4 enemies at once here deliberately, as an example of how not to play. Moving swiftly on. As you move through the game, you'll unlock first ship hand missions, then adventures, dungeons, and finally raids. Ship hand missions are essentially single-player dungeons. Each one has a self-contained storyline, and they're pretty fun to do and will reward you with some decent gear on completion. Adventures are multiplayer scenarios, and some are almost like PvP with capture the flag type gameplay. They're easier than dungeons, but not as story driven as the ship hand missions. The dungeons are hard, and you need to make sure that your gear is up to scratch before you give one a try. I would also suggest that you take the time to look up the boss tactics online, as they can be pretty complex and the punishments for not following them are brutal. And finally the raids. In this game, the raids fall into the masochist territory. Just a tuning will likely drive you to insanity. If, however, insanity is your cup of tea, then you'll love it. As a whole, if you try to level from 1 to 50 by just questing, then the game will start to feel grindy and tedious when you reach the middle ground. I would strongly suggest mixing the questing up with ship hand missions and adventures to help you get the most out of the experience, and of course housing, which is my next topic. The housing option is available when you hit level 14. You're given an empty housing plot on which to build. Behold the wonder which is my house. Yeah, okay, so it's not that special, but I have ploughed a lot of gold into it. I went for a combination on this plot of the pre-modelled spaceship house and some DIY extensions to house my kitchen and television room, a must for any hard-working adventurer. The pre-modelled houses have separate interiors with their own item count, as there is a limit on the number of items you can place. If you decide to build your own house, then you will be limited to only the housing plot item total, which is something to bear in mind if you decide to completely custom build. Here you can see the inside of my spaceship. In all the pre-built houses you can change the finish on the floor, walls and ceiling and then fill it as you like. As you can see, I have a bar area in mine, a study to the right and then a partition wall which forms a separate bedroom at the back, with my plushie collection on the bed. As well as the house on the centre plot, there are currently 6 other plots to fill, 4 small and 2 large. These can hold trade nodes such as crafting centres and harvest plots, as well as more ornamental options like windmills or medical centres. There are apparently plans to add more plots in the future. Between those plots you can place trees, rocks and numerous other objects to decorate your plot. The crafting system is pretty much the same as in most other games of this type. You choose two main professions with a choice between a number of harvest and crafting options. The only profession I've really bothered advancing is architect, as it allows me to build things for my housing plot. Overall, the crafting system is fairly standard and fulfills its purpose, but is nothing really to write home about. So, next up is the Holo Wardrobe. Here you can customise your character's outfit. Any armour or costume pieces that you apply here will override the look of the armour that you have equipped. That means that if you find a really good looking top or pair of boots at level 10 but then grow out of them, then you can use the Holo Wardrobe to make your new pair of boots look like the old ones. There are also special costume sets available which are designed to specifically give your armour unique looks, like the Highwayman set modelled here. You can then further customise your outfit by changing the colour. There are 3 different colour slots and a massive array of dyes to choose from. The dyes can be bought or collected throughout the game. Overall, Wildstar is a game that I've really enjoyed. It offers pretty much everything its rivals do: crafting, mounts, pets, raiding, along with a really good housing system. The combat system is what makes Wildstar stand apart from the others, and the higher difficulty level that comes with it. While some may enjoy the challenge of a higher difficulty level, for others it may prove too much. And while its comments are quirky, you may just find yourself really wanting to blow the head off the graveyard hologram. And why not? It's not murder after all. Anyway, Wildstar is now free to play, so if this review has piqued your interest, then you've nothing to lose by giving it a try.